Hi everyone, welcome back to the workshop, and this is just a quick update to my last video where I showed off WinGPIB's new user tab where the user can load a simple text-based configuration file to build a complete custom control panel in here for their own instrument, whether that's a multimeter, a voltage source, an electronic load, you name it. Now I'll link that video down below and we'll just jump straight in. I'll go over to Devices tab. I haven't got anything running at the moment, so I've got my Keithley 2001 device here. I'll just enable that. There it is, that's it connected here. And over to the User tab and I'll load in a configuration. I've got a bunch of pre-made ones here that I've been working on. And there is the Keithley 2001 demo there. So we'll just load that one there, and does an initialization here and a check on the configuration file and loads in the background as you just saw. Now the way I've got the configuration file for the 2001 written is on loading it'll go and connect to the 2001 and get all the current modes and how they all are configured at the moment. You can see that DCV mode on the 2001 set in the 2-volt range, and actually it's currently running in the DCV mode. All the other modes are sitting in the auto configuration, and also you've got NPLC here, you've got the aperture, you've got the averaging, all those settings here. Now this one's much like the one I showed in the last video, and I'll just get it up and running, auto refresh, turn that on, and now it's connected to the 2001. I've got a 1-volt source connected to it, and it's just running away at 10 MPLC. I'll speed that up a little bit. There you go, 1 MPLC. And as you can see, the charts populating, the stats are populating, and per the last video, I've got the history running as well. Now, as I said, this is all set up through a configuration file. Let me just bring it in. And here it is. Now I did show these off in the last video, but have made some changes. Now all the commands, all the functions are all multi-line. Much easier to read. For instance, here's the chart one here. All the setup, the size of the chart, width, height, the colour, the line width, and everything else to do with it. And you've got the same for basically all the functions and all the commands, the radio button, the stats, everything. Now one thing I have been working on, and you can see that here, this white text doesn't really make it too readable. Now of course I'm using Notepad++ here, and you can go into Notepad and set the language. For instance, well, let's just go down and set it to VB, even though it's not VB. Yeah, it will color code the syntax somewhat, but not really properly, and not really for all the different functions and commands I've got available to the configuration. So one thing I've done since the last video, I've gone ahead and developed my own configuration editor. Now you can see here I've got this one loaded up, and there's a new button, Edit Config. So let me just hit that now, and here it is. I've written this from scratch. It's built right into WinGPIB, and as you can see, it's much better color coded for the syntax that's available. The main functions are color coded as you can see them here. Then you've got all the sub parameters are all one color, the numericals are all one color, the comments is another, and it makes it much more readable. In addition, you've got over at the right hand side a list of all the blocks. Well, these are the blocks here. Data source, big text, chart. You can see you've got them all listed down here with their line number on them. And you can scroll down, find the one you want to go and edit perhaps, and double click on it. And there it is. It's scrolled and put the cursor right on that line, 553. As you can see there. I'll go to another one. Well, let's try this text area at line 1040. And there it is there. Perfect. Now the other good thing about the configuration editor, let me just go back up to the top and just put it slightly to the side here. You can actually edit the configuration file on the fly. So let me just try and make a small modification just to demonstrate this. You've got the big text here. Let's say I wanted that font slightly smaller. Well, actually, there's the big text there. You've got the font size 32. So let me just change that to 22. And I'll hit the save and refresh button up here. And it reloads the configuration. And I can hit auto refresh. And you can see the text size is a lot smaller. So absolutely everything that you've got configured in here in the configuration file, you can actually change, and it's really handy for moving stuff around. You might add a new radio button block or a new pull down, and you want to position that on the screen. You can just adjust the X and Y and reload the configuration using that save and refresh button. Really handy. Now, the other handy thing about the configuration editor, if you want to add in new commands, for instance, well, let me just go and edit it here, make some space, and if I just type in big text again, you can see it's all going in as white, but as soon as I press return, the editor knows that it should be color coded that color, and it's already positioned with the appropriate tab ready for the next parameter that I want to type in. So this Keithley 2001 configuration is really rather basic. It's all limited to this one screen. Well, one of the other things I've been doing is introducing a tabbed feature. So let me just load up the Keithley 2001 tabbed demo. I'll just let it load. And there it is. As you can see here along the top here, I've now got some of those functions moved to tabs: main, chart, history and stats, and GPIB. So let me just get it up and running, hit the auto refresh, and just hit chart. As you can see, the chart's running in its own tab, and the same with the history and the stats, and the GPIB command line has been moved to its own tab as well. And all this is configured in the configuration file. And something else I've been working on, let me just go back to the devices tab, disconnect the 2001, and I'm actually going to go and enable my 34461A Keysight multimeter. Just enable that one there, connect to that one, and let's load in one of the configurations that I've got for that, the demo, and that's the pop-ups demo. As you can see here, same format that I've done for all my other multimeters, except that this one, let me just auto refresh that, this one has some pop-ups. If I just hit chart, it's now in its own pop-up. Same with the history. Here it is here. Again, all configured very easily through the configuration editor. And just to demonstrate, it's definitely not only limited to multimeters. Let me just go back and disconnect that 34461A, and let me find my HP3245A universal source. Well, let's connect to it, and I'll load in the configuration file for it. There it is, HP3245A demo, and here it is. Again, I've just done a basic one to get up and running. So my 3245A is up and running now. You won't see that, it's off to the side. So I can type in the voltage here that I want to output in the range of plus minus 10 volts. I've got this text box here, I've typed in 1.23456, hit the set DCV button, and off the side of the workbench there, my 3245 is outputting 1.23456 volts. But you can also read back from the 3245A if you want confirmation. And there it is, I've got the scientific notation there with a decimal equivalent below it. So I can go and output 5 volts, so it's a big button down here. And again, do a read, and it'll refresh there. But I've also got an auto refresh on that, similar to the multimeters. So if I just enable that, and if I just hit the 10 volts there, you can see that it automatically updates. So no matter what I do, it'll auto refresh. And I'm not sure if I demonstrated this in the last video, but there's also a keypad. So if I just clear this text box here, you can actually use the keypad. Put the cursor in the box, 1.2222, hit the DCV button, and there it is. And again, the configuration edit button, bring that up, and there is the configuration for that. It's quite a bit smaller than the multimeter one because you don't have all those radio buttons, but you still have everything on here, including the blocks down that side. Now I do actually have one other configuration file. I created this one just for a bit of fun, so let me just open it up, and here it is, digital clock. Start, and off it goes. Now this just uses the LED function that I've got available in the configuration files and a little bit of Lua scripting. Did I mention in the last video that the scripting language also includes the full Lua scripting language? So if I just hit the edit configuration button, and here it is, you can see all the LEDs, the font generation, and right down at the bottom here, a little bit of scripting language there in order to facilitate that. Obviously, getting the time from a PC and converting that into the fonts and driving the LEDs on the user tab. Just a bit of fun. So, like I said, the user tab's not limited to multimeters. You can basically build any configuration file for any instrument that you've got enabled in your devices list here. So I'll put a link down below where you can download WinGPIB and also where you can download my demo configuration files and also the PDF guide that I've written for the user tab and all the commands and functions that are currently available. Thanks for watching.